Okay. The record should reflect all defendants are present. All parties are present. Mr. McKay.
Judge, can I remain seated because I want to read into the records some exhibits that were introduced by way of supervision and need to refer to my notes.
Of course.
Thanks. Your Honor, it is stipulated between David March through me and the special prosecutors that the foundation and authenticity has been satisfied for the admissibility of the following exhibits. Exhibit number one are memos from Sergeant Dan Gallagher to the Records Division for the permanent retention of RDHX 475653.
I'm sorry, 475653?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have this in writing? Is it in writing or
Not yet.
Okay.
And memo from Sergeant Daniel Gallagher to the Records Division for the permanent retention of RDHX 486155.
Okay.
March exhibit number 2, which is also a prosecution exhibit of the original case incident report prepared by Officer Dora Fontaine.
Okay.
In reverse order, exhibit 1A is the detective's investigative file.
Okay.
Exhibit 1B is the permanent retention file.
Okay.
March exhibit 3 is the Earl Briggs report from the medical examiner's investigations, which is signed by his supervisor.
Okay, so Briggs report signed by supervisor?
Yes. March exhibit 3A is Earl Briggs's case report from the medical examiner investigations, which is not signed by his supervisor.
Okay.
Exhibit 4 is the computer drop-down screen of Earl Briggs's report from the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office.
Okay, drop-down screen from Briggs report.
Yes.
Okay.
Exhibit number 5 on behalf of David March is the general order regarding deadly force, which is General Order G as in George 03-02-03.
Okay.
March exhibit 6 is Dave March's GPR of his interview of Joseph McGilligan.
Okay.
March exhibit 7 is the supplemental report prepared by Nancy Pekarsky-Black regarding the method/CAU code report.
Okay. Method CAU
Yes.
code report. Okay.
Exhibit 7A is David March's GPR of his interview of Dora Fontaine.
So March GPR interview for Dora Fontaine.
Yes.
Okay.
March exhibit 8 is Dave March's supplemental report labeled the scene report. All 23 pages.
23 pages?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
March exhibit number 9 is David March's supplemental cleared and closed report. Also 23 pages.
Okay.
March exhibit 10 is an additional closing sub-report prepared by David March. 9 pages.
Okay.
Now the following exhibits are GPRs, Judge. Exhibit 11.
Okay, 1 second, I'm sorry. Number 11. Okay, GPR.
A GPR and by the way, the author of all of these GPRs is David March. Exhibit 11 is David March's GPR of preliminary interview of Jason Van Dyke. Exhibit 12, 3-page GPR of David March's interview of Jason Van Dyke.
Okay.
Exhibit 13, a GPR of David March's additional interview of Jason Van Dyke.
Okay.
Exhibit 14, David March's GPR of preliminary information regarding Joseph Walsh. Exhibit 15, David March's GPR of his interview of Joseph Walsh. Exhibit 16, David March's GPR of preliminary information from Thomas Gaffney and Joseph McGilligan.
You said that was preliminary?
Yes, contact information, Judge.
Okay.
Exhibit number 17, David March's GPR of his interview with Thomas Gaffney, 2 pages.
Okay.
Exhibit 18, David March's GPR of the officers and the various beats they were assigned that night, and who was the driver, who was the passenger.
Okay.
Exhibit 19, David March's GPR of his interview of Daphne Sebastian.
Okay.
Exhibit 20 is David March's GPR of his interview of Janet Mondragon.
GPR of Mondragon?
Yes.
Okay.
Exhibit 21, David March's GPR of his interview of Officer A. Becerra, Becerra.
All right.
Exhibit 22 is David March's GPR of his interview of Officer Leticia, Leticia, Velez, Belez.
Okay.
Exhibit 23 is David March's GPR of his interview of Ricardo Viramontes, Viramontes.
Okay.
And by the way, Your Honor, all of those previous exhibits, with the exception of Exhibit 13, were David March's interviews at the scene.
Okay, so all interviews except 13?
Except 13. That is David March's final interview of Jason Van Dyke at the area.
All right.
Next exhibit, Judge. Exhibit 24 is David March's list of all of the detectives assisting in this investigation with their names and star numbers.
All right.
Exhibit number 25, the GPR regarding David March's notes regarding the 911 call by a caller named Rudy, and then subsequent addresses responded to by Gaffney and McGilligan. Exhibit 26
Okay.
is David March's list of additional personnel on the scene, including supervisors from the 8th District and Area Central, and other 8th District personnel.
Okay.
With names and star numbers.
Okay.
Exhibit 27 is David March's note regarding IPRA's U number and log number regarding their investigation when they arrived at the scene. Exhibit 28.
Hold on one second, please. Okay.
Exhibit 28 is David March's GPR regarding his notes regarding the location and additional information at or near 4000 South Karloff.
Okay.
Exhibit 29, Judge, is David March's GPR regarding notes of information for beat 813 Robert, Laquan McDonald's contact information, the evidence technician's name and star numbers from the mobile crime lab who responded to the scene, and their supervising sergeant, along with the doctor's name who pronounced McDonald dead and the time of pronouncement.
Okay.
Exhibit 30, David March's GPR regarding notes of FOP personnel, weather conditions, and additional information regarding the scene and information pertaining to Dunkin' Donuts parking lot.
Okay.
Exhibit 31.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, 1 second. Okay, 31.
31, Your Honor, David March's GPR regarding notes listing additional evidence technicians from the mobile crime lab who assisted in the collection of evidence in this case. Along with the listing of the Sergeant Lance Beckvar, B-E-C-V-A-R, who assisted in the in-car camera videos in this case.
Okay.
Exhibit 32, Dave March's GPR, which lists the beat squad cars in this case and which squads had in-car cameras that were working and which squad cars did not have in-car cameras that were working.
Okay.
Exhibit 33 is David March's GPR regarding his interview on October 22nd, 2014 of a gentleman named Rudy Barillas, B-A-R-I-L-L-A-S, and a reference to Rudy's wife, Uli, U-L-I Garcia.
Okay.
Exhibit 34, Your Honor, is David March's two-page GPR regarding the cameras at the Burger King located at the scene, which cameras, where these cameras were facing, and whether these cameras were in operation or not.
Okay.
Exhibit number 35, Your Honor, is David March's GPR regarding the retrieval of OEMC recordings and retaining them on discs with the assistance of a detective named Richard Hagan.
Okay.
Exhibit 36, Your Honor, is a GPR signed by David March regarding Sergeant Gallagher's interview of a gentleman named Craig Futterman.
Okay.
Exhibit 37, Your Honor, is a complete copy of a certified report of postmortem examination of Laquan McDonald, prepared by Dr. Denica Means, M-E-A-N-S, with the additional toxicology reports.
Okay.
March Exhibit 38 is actually a group exhibit, Judge. And these are all of the inventory sheets prepared by David March regarding the collection and inventory of all of the videos in this case from all of the different sources. And in addition, personal items found on Mr. McDonald's body, collected from his clothing at the hospital, and some other additional items. That would be Group Exhibit 38.
Okay.
Exhibit 39,
Okay.
crime scene processing report of Carl Brasic, B-R-A-S-I-C, and his partner Kamal Judah, K-A-M-A-L-J-U-D-E-H.
Okay.
Exhibit 40, the crime scene processing report by evidence technician Philip Ryder, R-I-D-E-R.
Okay.
Exhibit 41 is the crime scene processing report prepared by forensic investigator Victor Rivera.
All right.
Exhibit 42, the evidence submission form prepared by David March regarding the firearms evidence and other things submitted to the Illinois State Police Crime Lab for further analysis by them.
Okay.
Exhibit 43 is another evidence submission form prepared by David March, listing firearms evidence and other items collected in this case to be submitted to the Illinois State Police Crime Lab for further analysis.
Can you give me a second on that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exhibit 44, Judge, is the sign-in sheet, which includes David March's signature for his meeting at the Illinois State Police Crime Lab case review, including members of the Crime Lab and IPRA and other Chicago police personnel.
Okay, so it was a meeting with Illinois State Police.
Yes, Judge, dated October 30th, 2014.
Okay, what did you say after that?
It's a sign-in sheet signed by Dave March. Other signatures are from people from the Crime Lab, IPRA, and other Chicago police personnel.
Okay.
Exhibit 45, Your Honor, is the criminal history of Laquan McDonald and additional police reports. Made part of the investigative file.
Okay.
Exhibit 46, criminal history of Rudy Barillas.
Okay.
Exhibit 47, criminal history of Alma Benitez.
Okay.
Exhibit 48, are two separate, it's a group exhibit.
Okay.
Two separate requests by David March, dated October 28, 2014, to hold and duplicate in-car camera videos for beat 813 Robert, 845 Robert, and if possible, any retrieval from 815 Robert, and to permanently hold those videos.
Okay.
Next, Your Honor, is March Exhibit 49, a to-from memo to David March from Detective Jeffrey Malik, M-A-L-I-K, regarding Detective Malik's investigation and search for additional video from various businesses in the area, which is dated the second watch of October 21st, 2014.
Okay.
The next exhibit will be Group Exhibit 50. And these are all the other GPRs in this investigative file, drafted by other detectives assisting David March in this case.
Okay.
Exhibit 50, Your Honor.
That was 50, wasn't it?
I'm sorry. Yes, it was. Exhibit 51, I'm sorry. Exhibit 51 is the original case incident report prepared by David March regarding the crimes committed against Rudy Barillas with RD number HX 486155.
Okay.
Exhibit 52 is the method/CAU code report regarding the Rudy Barillas RD number I just mentioned, prepared by Sergeant Daniel Gallagher.
Okay.
Exhibit 53 is a brief supplemental report prepared by David March entitled Closed Non-Criminal Report.
Okay.
Exhibit 54 is an email from Anthony Wojcik to David March dated March 15, 2015 at 5:33 p.m. Subject matter conclusion.
Give me a second on that one.
Yes.
So email from Wojcik.
Wojcik to Dave March.
Okay.
March 15th.
I got it March 15th, 2015 at 5:33 p.m.
Yes. Exhibit 55, Judge, is another email from Anthony Wojcik to David March, dated March 13th, 2015.
I'm sorry, dated March 13th?
2015.
Okay.
At 5:30 p.m.
Okay.
regarding arrest info.
Okay.
Next exhibit, Judge, is exhibit number 56, general order regarding force options, which is also known as General Order G03-02-02.
Okay.
And exhibit 57 is preliminary investigations general order, which is also known as General Order G04-01.
G04-01?
Yes.
Okay.
So stipulated to the admissibility of those exhibits.
Yes. Can I have 1 second? Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. We stipulate to the admissibility of those identified exhibits, not for the commentary that came along with them. I assume that was just for identification. And we have advised Mr. McKay that those exhibits contain some of the confidential information that needs to be redacted.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. So defense exhibits, are you asking that the identification marks be stricken, that they be admitted pursuant to the stipulation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first of all, the stipulations received and admitted. Defense exhibits 1 through 57, the identification marks are stricken and they are admitted.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. McKay.
I don't think at this moment, I was discussing things with Ms. Warner and Mr. Watson earlier, but I think I would just.
Should I move on to Mr. Pugh or Mr.
That'd be a
Breen?
good idea.
Okay. So for defendant Walsh, Mr. Pugh or Mr. Breen?
Judge, in regards to the exhibits just admitted, in regards to exhibits 8, 9, 14, and 15, those exhibits contain purported statements of Joe Walsh. Object to their admission as statements of Joe Walsh, and rather they should be considered just statements of David Marsh for those purposes. As a similar, they've been admitted in the state's case. We made the same objection then.
I'll say you're being consistent with your previous objection. All right, so the court, any argument on that, Mr. Safer, Ms. Brown-Holmes?
No,
Same
no.
argument you had before?
Yeah.
Okay, the court's ruling is the same. They're admitted over your objection.
Judge, if we are allowed, we'd like to proceed by way of stipulation.
Sure.
Thank you.
Are these regarding the two written stipulations that were previously filed, or are they something in addition to that?
One of them I don't believe you have, but I
Okay.
do have all signed stipulations. They're also marked as exhibits, and I also have a thumb drive. So for the purpose of the record, I'll read these into the record
Yes.
and submit them to the court.
Of course.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, on behalf of Joseph Walsh, I'm going to move for the admission of the following stipulation. The defendant, Joseph Walsh, by and through his attorneys, Breen and Pugh, and the people of the state of Illinois, by their attorney, Special Prosecutor Patricia Brown-Holmes, stipulate to the following. If called to testify, Zachary Farden, former United States Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, would state that on October 14th, 2015, defendant Joseph Walsh was placed under oath and gave testimony in the matter of in re grand jury investigation. Grand jury number 14GJ970 before the federal grand jury in the United States District Court of the Northern District of Illinois. Mr. Farden would further state that at the time of defendant Joseph Walsh's testimony, the federal grand jury was conducting an investigation of the shooting of Laquan McDonald that occurred on October 20th of 2014. Paragraph 2. The call to testify, Joseph Ferguson, the Inspector General for the City of Chicago, would state that on March 8th, 2016, defendant Joseph Walsh was placed under oath and gave testimony in the matter of in re Joseph Walsh before the City of Chicago Inspector General's office pursuant to an advisement of rights signed by defendant Joseph Walsh. Mr. Ferguson would further state that at the time of defendant Joseph Walsh's testimony, the City of Chicago Inspector General's office was conducting an investigation of the shooting of Laquan McDonald that occurred on October 20th, 2014. Paragraph 3. If called to testify, Joseph McMahon, the special prosecutor, would state that on September 18th, 2018, defendant Joseph Walsh was called as a witness for the people, was placed under oath, and gave testimony under a court-ordered grant of immunity in the people of the state of Illinois versus Jason Van Dyke, Circuit Court number 17 CR 4286, Vincent Gahn, Judge. So stipulated?
So stipulated.
The tender that I marked as Walsh Exhibit 1 to make it part of the record in this case.
I have it.
Want to straight up give you a mark?
That would be great. Thank you. All right, that stipulation is received and admitted.
At this point, Judge, we move for the admission of Exhibit Walsh, FBI 1 stipulation, which is that defendant Joseph Walsh, by and through his attorneys, Breen and Pugh, and the people of the state of Illinois, by their attorney, Special Prosecutor Patricia Brown-Holmes, stipulate to the following. Paragraph 1. Is called to testify a custodian of records and qualified witness of the Federal Bureau of Investigation would state that Defense Exhibit FBI Video 1 is a true and accurate copy of a portion of the video capturing the shooting of Laquan McDonald on October 20th, 2014 from the dash camera in beat 813 Robert squad car, which has been enlarged 200% by the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Forensic Audio, Video, and Image Analysis Unit. So stipulated?
So stipulated.
Tendered to the court, marked exhibit and stipulation on behalf of Joseph Walsh, signed by the parties, Your Honor.
Right, that stipulation is received and admitted.
At this point in time, Your Honor, I'd ask permission to publish the exhibit which is contained in that stipulation.
Any objection to the publication?
No, Judge.
All right, then you may, first of all, the identification mark is stricken from that exhibit. It's admitted and you may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, sir.
Press may want to see this. There's no confidential information.
Your Honor, with the admission of that, I'll move to admit Exhibit Walsh, FBI number 1, which is the electronic media report. In this
I see it.
Thank you. Judge, with that, Mr. Walsh rests.
Okay, Mr. Fahey.
Judge, I would adopt the exhibits that have been admitted by co-counsels.
All of the exhibits?
Yes.
Do you agree to that those stipulations and the exhibits being admitted for Mr. Fahey? State?
I'm sorry, there's that.
They want to adopt all of the exhibits that have previously been, that have been admitted through stipulation from Mr. McKay and from Mr. Pugh. Is there any objection to that? Okay, then those stipulations and exhibits will be admitted for Mr. Gaffney as well.
And with that, Judge, we would rest.
Okay. Mr. McKay, do you have any further evidence or witnesses?
Judge, I need to speak with the prosecution about some potential and additional stipulations.
Okay, why don't you do that before I give any admonishments then?
Thank you.
Because that way, if I'm going to give them, I can just give them all at once.
Thank you.
Okay, court's in a short recess.
Thank you.
Mr. McKay, is it going to take any, won't take very long? Okay.
Just
Thank you. To reflect that all three defendants are present with their attorneys. All of the special prosecutors are present. Mr. McKay.
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, David March would like to proceed by way of stipulation. And,
Okay.
Your Honor, it's stipulated between David March and the special prosecution that on January 28th, strike that, on June 28th, 2017, David March was called by the prosecution in the case of People versus Jason Van Dyke, case number 17 CR 4286, before the Honorable Judge Vincent Vaughn, and a pre-trial evidentiary hearing. So stipulated? Yes. In addition, it is stipulated between David March and the special prosecution in this case that on October 3rd, 2018, David March was called by the special prosecution in People versus Jason Van Dyke, case number 17 CR 4286, in the prosecution's rebuttal case, and that David March's testimony was presented by way of stipulation. So stipulated? Sure.
So you're saying the testimony was by way of stipulation?
Yes, Judge. The prosecutor. Yes. I'll include that. Right. So stipulated.
Okay. That stipulation is received and admitted.
And it's further stated by the parties that in both testimonies by David March, either in person or by way of stipulation, on those two dates I just gave, David March was granted use immunity. So stipulated.
So stipulate, Your Honor.
Okay, the stipulations received and admitted. All right, Mr. McKay?
At this time, David March rests.
Okay, Mr. March, Mr. Walsh, Mr. Gaffney, your attorneys have rested your case. I'm sure that you have discussed this they've discussed this with you, but I want to assure myself that you understand. You have the right to testify or not to testify in your case. Do you understand that, Mr. March?
Yes.
Do you understand that, Mr. Walsh?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that, Mr. Gaffney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, it is a decision that belongs to you and that you make. Clearly, you have the right to discuss testifying with your attorney. However, it is up to you to decide whether to testify or not. Have you discussed this with your attorney, Mr. March?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you discussed this with your attorney, Mr. Walsh?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you discussed this with your attorney, Mr. Gaffney? After speaking with your attorney, is it your decision not to testify, Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney? I'm sorry, I went out of order. Mr. Walsh?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you making this decision freely and voluntarily? Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have any threats, force, or promises been directed against you in order to keep you from testifying? Mr. March?
No.
Mr. Walsh?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Gaffney?
No, Your Honor.
You understand that it is your decision alone whether to testify or not. Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gaffney? Okay, the court finds that all three defendants, Mr. March, with Mr. Walsh, Mr. Gaffney, have knowingly and voluntarily given up their right to testify. State, any rebuttal evidence? State rest and rebuttal regarding all three defendants?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, what I'd like to do is take a lunch break and then come back for closing arguments if the parties are prepared to do that today.
David March is.
Mr. Pugh or Mr. Breen?
We are here.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes.
State?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, it's 10 to 2, so let's come back at 10 to 3. Court's in recess.